So welcome everyone to Community of Cultures Live. This is the third session that we are doing. I absolutely love doing these chats and raising awareness of different issues and talking to people about different topics. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Community of Cultures project, we are a branch of the organisation Sheffield Maternity Cooperative. But we're a national project, so we've been set up to offer support for people from Black communities, from Asian communities, and from ethnic communities for the reproductive journey. So that's anything sort of from fertility, pregnancy, loss, parenthood, anything that sort of follows that journey. And what we do, we offer free virtual spaces with different specialists, so people can explore different topics and ask questions. And we do support, one-to-one support and advocacy, and other bits that we do are things like this. So raising awareness and giving people platforms to tell their stories and share their experiences. So tonight's live session is going to be, we've got Sureena here from Calm Baby Circle, and I'll let Sureena talk to you a bit about what she does. But we're talking about baby loss and some of the cultural issues around baby loss, and Sureena's experience of baby loss as well herself. So what I'll do is I'm just going to pass over to you, Sureena, and see how are you doing. You know, tell us how you're feeling and a bit about you and your work.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm really nervous. I think I can hear some background. Can you hear that?
What background noise? I can hear you. Okay, can you hear?
Okay. That's fine. As long as you can hear me, yeah, that's fine. I can't hear the background noise now. Yeah, so I own Calm Baby Circle. So I'm a hypnobirthing practitioner, and I also do parent and baby classes. And I've been doing it for about a year now.
Thank you. And how are you feeling tonight, apart from nervous?
Oh yeah, okay. My 11-year-old has gone on a residential trip today for a week, so I'm a bit all over the place. A bit like, oh, I feel like half of me is just like, you know, is missing. So yeah, I'm dealing with that as well today.
lots going on then. Lots of feelings there. So thank you for introducing yourself and what you do. I just wanted to quickly talk about why we're talking about baby loss and why it's an important topic, in particular in relation to different communities. So baby loss I think in all communities still holds a little bit of stigma, something that people don't really talk about still. We are getting better at being more open about it, but I think we're getting better at being more open about it in some communities more than others still. So I think it's definitely an important subject to talk about because it is something that affects so many people. I know, particularly from my own experience of baby loss, I really felt like I was the only one going through it, and the only one in family who had gone through it. And throughout my journey and the way that I've opened up, I've heard from so many friends and family that have also experienced it, and I'm thinking, well, people just don't talk about it, and I feel like talking is a step forward to trying to break down silence and trying to get people the support that they really need. So that's why I find it's a really important topic to talk about. So I know it could be really difficult to revisit your loss, Sureena. I know you're feeling a little bit nervous, so just please share with us whatever you're comfortable with sharing. But tell us your story. I'll pass it over to you to tell us your story.
Okay. So at the time I'd already had a child, so I had a 1-year-old already. And we decided to try again, and we thought, oh, it's probably going to be really easy, you know, just like it was quite easy to get pregnant the first time. I remember it quite vividly, actually, because it was November 2012, and we'd gone to the temple because it was Diwali. We came back in the evening, put my son to bed, and I went to the toilet, and when I wiped myself, I found blood. And I was about 7 to 8 weeks pregnant at this time, and I basically just screamed for my husband and said, you know, something's wrong. I think I'm losing it. And you know, when you kind of get into that adrenaline phase where you're literally shaking, but you're freezing at the same time.
Yeah.
And the blood's just pumping into your legs and your arms like you need to run away from something. But the fact is that when it's happening to your own body, you can't run away from it. So the first thing my husband did, he called up the hospital and he said, you know, I think she's having a miscarriage. And I still remember they said, you know what, well, if she's having a miscarriage, then there's nothing we can do about it. So you might as well just wait until the morning when somebody can actually see you. So my husband called his mum because he didn't know what else to do. And she quickly came over and she sat with me for most of the night. You know, because she kept saying to me, go to sleep, it'll be fine, don't worry, you know, this happens in pregnancies, you know, I used to bleed a lot in my pregnancies, and my mum said the same thing as well. And I just couldn't go to sleep, you know, you're just scared that I know what, you know what's happening to your body.
Yeah.
So I knew that this wasn't right. So that night literally just dragged on. In the morning, we took my son to the nursery, we went to the hospital, they did an internal exam, and they said, yeah, there's no baby. And all I remember from that time was they literally just told me to just get dressed, gave me a couple of leaflets, most probably of just charities that I could speak to, and they just kind of ushered me out the door and said, you know, okay, thanks. And yeah, it was just such a difficult time, because I don't remember even looking at those leaflets. I probably just chucked them to the side when I got home.
Yeah.
And I just remember crying for days, and just basically being in bed, just not wanting to do anything. But I found that people didn't understand. So like, I told my mum, and she was like, oh, don't worry, you know, it'll happen when it's meant to happen, or maybe it was supposed to happen because something else was wrong with the baby at the time.
The
And it wasn't just
well-meaning
my mum.
messages.
Yeah, you know, they think it helps, but it doesn't. And
Yeah.
it wasn't just my mum, it was everybody. They were saying, oh, you know, oh, it'll happen when it's meant to happen. I even got comments such as, oh, maybe it's because you run downstairs all the time, and because you're running, you're literally just shaking the baby about
Yeah.
everywhere. Yeah, it was so hard to find somebody to actually talk to, and somebody who understood what I was going through. And when I do speak to people now, I always say it's probably one of the darkest places I've been. It's the most loneliest place to be when you're having a miscarriage, or, you know, you're suffering baby loss, because no one else understands what you're going through.
Yeah.
It For me, it was that nobody understood, but nobody wanted to talk about it. So if I did try to talk about it, it was just, let's just try and brush it under the carpet. Let's just try and talk about something else. I even had comments such as, I remember telling somebody quite close to me, and she turned around and said, I'm really sorry to hear that, but miscarriages are quite common during that sort of time, aren't they? So I was like, okay. It was really, really hard. I kind of tried to get through that. You know, I definitely know that I was suffering with depression, but I just didn't get the help that I needed. We tried again a year later.
Yeah.
I got pregnant again. Again, it was about 7 weeks again. This time we didn't tell anybody, because I just didn't want to tell anyone that I was pregnant. And it happened again. Same thing. Went to the toilet and there was blood on the tissue. And then again, go to the hospital, get it confirmed. And that was it, really. But the second time, I just didn't even bother trying to talk to anybody about it. You know, there were one or two friends that I could confide in, which was really, really helpful. But the people that I thought I could confide in, which were my own family, it's like they just they didn't know how to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the problem lies.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about it, but then they don't understand that when you're going through depression because of baby loss, because they don't understand that, they just think that you're being difficult, or um, you're just being moody for the sake of being moody, or angry, and that, you know, you need to just change your ways. That's how I felt anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely that thing where it's an education thing. There is like there's like a gap of education around these topics because it has been such a stigma for so long, and people don't want to talk about it. And you know, we find these things with mental health and other issues, and sort of personal and private topics. I know of people in the family who have kept things like illnesses quiet because they don't want other people in the family to know. And
Yeah.
yeah, because people don't talk about it, people don't know how to talk about it, as you said. And it's sad that when you went through it the second time, you just didn't know to how to reach out to people,
Yeah.
because I think the experience that you had the first time was not promising for you. And I'm really
Yeah.
sorry to hear that you had to go through it all again. Um, with the I mean, I resonate completely what you said about going there and getting the leaflets and kind of just not being in the right headspace to deal with that and to read those leaflets. Did you get any extra support in your second time, or you found I don't know how
No.
you navigated the healthcare system with what was going on?
Yeah. No, I didn't get any support the second time round either. I just found that I did actually, the second time I do remember going to the doctor and saying, I feel really depressed. I feel really low in my moods. I'm upset all the time. I think I really need to speak to somebody. So the doctor referred me to a counsellor. And now I remember having that first meeting with the counsellor, and I don't know if it because they weren't aware of the Asian culture, but as soon as I said that I am living with my in-laws and I'm finding it really difficult, I feel really down, no one understands me, she kind of just cut me off straight away and said, I don't think I can help you. This seems like a family orientated issue, and I don't think I can help you. And I just gave up in the end. I just thought, you know what, nobody wants to hear me, nobody wants to listen to me or help me. And I think I just dealt with it how I could and coped with it. I have to say, my husband was really supportive. You know, he tried to help me how he could. He tried to understand. He tried, but there's only so much your partner can do when you're just in that bubble where you just feel like no one can help you, and you're kind of pushing everybody's help because no one's been able to help you the first time, or the first time no one understood you. And I think that's the problem with the Asian culture. The fact that, like you said, that we haven't educated ourselves, but also it's the listening skills. I
Yeah.
think they don't know, Asian community doesn't know how to listen and just be there, rather than offering that advice or putting in those little comments which they think are helpful, but they're not really.
I think people mean well and want to find a solution or want to find an answer, or in
Yeah.
some cases, very sadly, from what I've heard reported, want to find something to blame even.
Mm.
But and I know a lot of people have gone through that and been blamed. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's just trying to find a way to get people to listen and support rather than trying
Yeah.
to find the solutions to the problem all the time. And you know, our elders are so caring and love. There is so much love in the Asian culture
Mm.
and family, and I think that's what people want. They want it. They don't want people to suffer.
Yeah.
They want to be able to help.
Yeah.
And when you can't explain some things like baby loss, you just can't explain it. It becomes very difficult. Um,
Mm-hmm.
how do you think that we can break the silence around and the stigma around baby loss in our communities?
I think that more and more women are beginning to speak about it now. There are so many Asian women that go through baby loss, but I think our generation is all about being able to talk about this, not brushing things under the carpet. Whereas the elder generation were quite used to doing things like that. You know, everything behind closed doors, you weren't allowed to publicly announce what was happening. But now I think the younger generation are starting to speak up. But I think we need to be there for them. We need to do more lives like this and speak to people and say, you know what, you're not alone. We've been there. You know, you can speak to us. We're here to listen to you. And I think that's what women want, really. They just want somebody to be able to listen to them. And I think that's what I needed. I needed somebody to be there for me, to listen to me, to give me a call, you know, once in a while to see how I was doing. But I never got that. So I think if you do know somebody who's going through baby loss or miscarriage, don't just ignore it or think if you don't speak about it, maybe that might help, because I don't think it does. So I think you need to check in on them, you know, meet up with them, go for a walk with them, give them a call, see how they are, because that's what helps. I think that's what helps your mental well-being, is when you've got someone there for you, even just going out for a walk.
Yeah.
You know, I found that going out for a walk really helped to just take all those thoughts away for that time. And I just think that's what we need to learn to do.
Yeah, definitely. And you said your husband was really supportive. Did he get much support himself, though?
No. So
I mean,
he was trying to support
within the
me,
community
but
and within the
yeah,
healthcare system, I would.
oh no, I don't think, yeah, he didn't get any support. So I think I felt sorry for him at times, because he was like the punching bag, you know. So when I got upset and when I got angry, he was the only person. So yeah, but he didn't get any support from anybody. No one asked him how he was, you know. Family members didn't ask, even though they knew what was going on. But also I think it was really difficult when other people around you were getting pregnant
Yeah.
and they were going to have, and I don't think you were expected to, but you felt like you had to be happy for them, you had to be there for them. And I think that's really hard, especially in the Asian community. And sometimes in the Asian community, if you've suffered a miscarriage but somebody in your family is having a baby, sometimes they kind of don't include you in that, because they're worried that you might not have well wishes for them, which I
Yeah.
think is wrong. I think you need to understand it from the person who's had the loss, you know, and you need to understand it from their point of view.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. Thank you for sharing that. What support would you have found beneficial that might not have been available at the time? So from the healthcare system, what would you have liked to have gone
When I
through?
think back, I think even if the hospital had called me a couple of days after, you know, just to see how I was, if I was getting the right care, you know, if I'd made an appointment with the doctor to speak about, you know, how I was feeling, I think that probably would have helped quite a lot. Because then I could have said, no, I'm not dealing with this, you know, I do need help. And I've said this before, actually. I think I said it to the SANS charity. I did say that. I said that the Asian culture, you tend to have that. It's not easy to speak up about the problems that you have. But if somebody had just called me and said, how are you, you know, are you okay? Have you spoken to somebody? I think that would have been the first step for me to get the help that I needed.
Yeah. Yes.
But I didn't get that.
Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that, but I completely resonate with the experience. I know I've been through it myself, and you kind of just
Yeah.
get handed like the leaflets and
Mm,
kind of get sent on your way, and you feel a bit lost for a while.
definitely, yeah.
I know when I was pregnant after loss, pregnant again, and I think I mean, unfortunately, with what happened to you, I guess you must have felt quite anxious and nervous. And did you get any extra support in that time, or?
So when I became pregnant the second time, as in successfully, so
Yeah.
I've got my daughter now. No, but it's weird because with her, when I was pregnant, I just knew that I don't know what it was, but I had this feeling inside of me that I knew she was going to be okay. I actually had a dream a week before I found out I was pregnant with her, and I said to my husband, I think this one's going to be all right. You know, I've got this feeling. And this is why I went into hypnobirthing, because I didn't want to go through the whole pregnancy being worried, being scared, thinking every day, is she okay? I can't feel her, is she okay? And I needed that something to help me with, you know, the breathing techniques, with the visualizations, just to calm me down. And it did. And you know, my second childbirth, I always say I will never forget it, because it was the most positive birth I've ever had. But for me, it was the fact that I had a traumatic first childbirth. So for my second one, because I knew how important it was to me and how much I had been yearning to have a child, it needed to be something that I could look back on and say, you know, I really enjoyed my pregnancy. So I didn't want to be worrying all the time, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I tried really hard not to, but then again, I did get that Doppler. So every couple of days I didn't hear her. I was like, you know, are you in there? Are you okay? But yeah, but so it was so important for me not to have a pregnancy, 9 months, constantly worrying.
Yeah.
Which is why I went through hypnobirthing.
Thank you. Well, I am just going to add, because about Dopplers, we are we do encourage people to obviously go to their maternity unit. I think you're not supposed to use Dopplers. It's not recommended. We know people do, but obviously, just as we're on a live, I wouldn't want anyone to just go and buy one and think that it's absolutely best thing to do.
There was definitely there was a time, you know, where I couldn't feel her, and I thought something's not right. And the first thing I did was I called the hospital and I said, I've had 2 miscarriages in the past. I need to come in and I need somebody to check me. And I'm so glad that I did that, because they thought that she would be coming 3 months early, and they kept me in overnight and they checked me over. So yes, I definitely agree. You know, if you've got that instinct or you feel like something's not right, give them a call straight away.
Yeah, definitely. And they're always open, the maternity units, and just that's really important. And I think when you've gone through a loss as well, you are naturally sort of hesitant and worried about your next pregnancy anyway. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me. So we've obviously spoke about baby loss tonight. It's quite an emotive subject. There's lots of organisations out there that can support people through baby loss. SANS, one of them you've mentioned, Tommy's, Miscarriage Association, are just a few to name, but we'll probably put some links in, hopefully, with this live video. I'm hoping it saves. We had one, I did one last year, and there was like an Instagram glitch and it didn't save in the end, and I was like so upset. But I think hopefully this one will save. But thank you everyone who's come along and joined us, and thank you so much, Sureena, for sharing your experience, because
thank you,
as you said, like, having lives like this and being able to talk about this subject just makes such a difference to people, and to this making people realize it's okay to get support. So thank you. And I'm going to close this and hope that it's safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.